Andrew Neil has revealed globalization will be in serious retreat by the end of the year, as European countries aim to end their reliance on other nations and shift towards producing their own supply chains. The BBC broadcaster made the revelation while commenting on changing scenarios in Europe, as leaders shift priorities to help better respond to the coronavirus pandemic. Andrew Neil pointed out French President Emmanuel Macron unveiled such plans when he said supply chains will have to become more French. Germany's health minister announced similar measures and said the country shouldn't be dependent on other nations for medicines and personal protective equipment (PPE). President Macron addressed the nation on Monday, as more than 36 million people tuned in to hear his latest update. He announced France's lockdown would be extended until May 11 and apologized for the government's initial failings, particularly over the lack of masks and equipment. As a result, it appears Mr. Macron wants to shift away from globalization, to avoid reliance on other countries. During Monday's address, he praised French companies and businesses for responding quickly to his calls for more PPE. He said as a result of their quick efforts, we have been able to increase the production of masks by five-fold. Mr. Macron added they have also been able to substantially increase the availability of ventilators. Commenting on last night's televised address by the French president, Mr. Neil said, when even President Macron says supply chains will have to become more French, from food to pharma, then you know globalization will be in serious retreat. At the start of the pandemic, Mr. Macron suggested the country was going to have to change its supply chain habits in response to the outbreak. He said, "We are living through a profoundly new period that forces us to ask ourselves questions we haven't asked ourselves about things like supply and production chains. We are going to change our habits, but everything can't stop. We must take the time to organize ourselves, and see what is adaptable." But France isn't the only country to suggest changes to its supply chains, with German Health Minister Jens Spahn suggesting the country should change its approach towards globalization. He said, "We need to discuss the right degree of globalization. For medicines and protective gear we shouldn't be that dependent on other regions. Security more important." Professor Richard Ports, an economics professor at London Business School, said it seems obvious that trading patterns will have to change as officials will have realised the risks they were taking by importing goods from other countries. He told the BBC, "Look at trade. Once supply chains were disrupted by coronavirus, people started looking for alternative suppliers at home, even if they were more expensive. If people find domestic suppliers, they will stick with them, because of those perceived risks." Professor Beata Javorchik, chief economist at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, agrees and thinks Western manufacturing companies will start reshoring, which means bringing work back home. She said, "They will reshore activities that can be automated, because reshoring brings certainty. You do not have to worry about your national trade policy, and it also gives you an opportunity